Hi, I'm Avery. I'm a knight in the SCA, and today someone asked me to describe what a teardrop return is. The short version is it's a way to hit the same spot twice really quickly, hopefully still with power. And I'm going to go over how I throw them. The first thing I should point out is I don't have the best teardrop in the world. There are other people who are better at it than I am, but I got the question and I couldn't figure out how to describe it using text, so here's a video. So let's, for the sake of argument, say that I want to hit my opponent in the head. And I'm going to throw one shot, and I'm trying to quickly throw a second shot. I throw my first shot. If I recover entirely, regardless of the recovery, and then throw a second shot, it takes a fair bit of time. My arm is straightening, my shoulder's chambering, my body's moving, right? There's a lot going on here. And even if I throw it my fastest, it takes a minute. The goal of a teardrop is to move as little as possible and still hit with power, with the idea being that that's going to be faster. And if you do it right, it is. So instead of throwing here and then recovering, what you do is a blow like this. Now, why is it called a teardrop? Well, if you imagine the shape of a teardrop, it's got a point at the top and a fat bulb at the bottom like a circle. If you imagine that teardrop with a point like this and rotate the point so it's like that and the bulb is out here, that's the path the sword travels on. So the blade comes here, and if you imagine the tip drawing in the sky, down, circle, straight line back in. So it does this, right? It can even go the other way. It can go like this. The idea is it draws a teardrop, and the reason for that is you never start the motion, stop it, and then reverse it. So you're building power, building speed, speeding up, and the entire thing is generating more and more power. That's how you can get good power without recovering fully over your body. You don't need to get the center of gravity of the weapon all the way over your shoulder to get a good hard shot if you do it right. And hopefully I can. So if I throw my fastest double shot, snap hard to the head, I don't know, medium fast I suppose, but I will do my best. If I try to do the same one with a teardrop, it'll be just a little faster and hopefully almost as hard. So, not a great one. I even leaned into it, but you can see the timing is da, da, as opposed to da, da, right? So you can throw a teardrop to the head, you can throw it to the leg, body, you can even do offside teardrops. Really what it is a mechanic for power generation. And you'll also notice that as I start moving faster, instead of it being completely beside my opponent like this, it might rotate up and this way, so I'm drawing a teardrop at a different angle. Might be kind of fat, might be kind of skinny. You can even throw teardrop and then change the point so it goes down there, bang. Or you can throw low, teardrop, high. It's not really drawing a teardrop in the air anymore, but the idea is you're still using that motion with sort of a circular conversion back into forward movement. The other thing that's key for me is I'm projecting on my shots my power forward at my opponent. So the blade does cross my body, but I'm not swinging through like this, I'm swinging forward. So for me, I can throw forward, teardrop forward, much more easily than if I throw sideways power, recovery sideways power, if that makes sense. So I'm throwing into my opponent like this, as opposed to through my opponent to the side like this, which would be tougher. So I also mentioned that you can do you can recover along the bottom line and attack along the top line, or you can recover along the top line and attack along the bottom line. Why would you choose one over the other? Well, some of it might be that you're more comfortable with it. I personally, on the onside shot, am more comfortable with a high recovery like this. But the low recovery has a benefit. So there's good reasons to use both. For me, a high recovery, if I decide I'm halfway through a teardrop and I want to abort and go defense, I can. I'm also pretty comfortable at this motion, so I can throw a teardrop here, and it's easy for me to adapt and change that because it's what I'm comfortable with. So if I see it like I'm doing this, I can convert. I see, say, that back shoulder opens up into the wrap or something like that more easily for me than if I'm along this back line. I just don't have the same comfort with those mechanics to, you know. But I see people land it all the time, especially on the step. So they'll go like here, low recovery, and that low recovery looks like it's a threat to the leg, or it looks like it's just coming back, right? But you can throw bang, low recovery, and up over the shield edge if they're like a right-handed shieldman, right back into the head. So they go block, the sword's dropping, it's dropping behind where you can see, you're following it down, and then right in the face, right? So offside, a little trickier for me. If I throw high, I've got a better teardrop. So I throw here, and then I do the high recovery. This one's easier for me. Still not great. But the low line is tougher for me. For me, this motion you see, I'm using a lot more elbow and straightening my arm to get that second shot to have power. So what am I doing in terms of body mechanics to try to drive all of those? For me, I'm not hammer gripping the sword at all times. In fact, the first blow lands with my wrist angled forward and my hand gripping around the bottom of the blade. The wrist angles back and the blade moves in my hand. So now I'm gripping with the top of my hand and I've angled my wrist. This gets all of this motion, right? I go from here to here and then grip with the bottom of the hand and angle the wrist forward again. So you can actually throw this with just wrist, and with enough practice, again, I'm not perfect, with enough practice you can actually land that with nothing but wrist and hand. So you go here, bang, right? Now obviously you want to get body and other mechanics into it, right? Get the hips going, a little bit of shoulder rotation. But for me, to keep the power in the blade all throughout this motion, I tend to lock around the elbow a bit. My arm moves a little bit with momentum, but basically from here to here is almost not moving. I throw the first shot, I stay put, and then it's mostly, I'm drawing back with the hip, I'm drawing the blade back and straight forward, but most of it's in the hip, the knees, and the wrist, and the hand. I'm not doing, say, with the arm, right? That's not how I do it. You can. That's not the way I was taught. If I was taught, I don't know. Anyway, so for me, I tend to keep this all relatively fixed. Even on the offside, when my mechanics aren't as good, I try to, you know, get the hips moving, get the hip speed up, and then grab and squeeze through the opponent when I strike. So hopefully that's helpful. That's my view of how to do a teardrop return. I don't know who invented it. Might have been, it's always a safe guess, maybe Duke Paul of Bellatrix. And it was something that was pretty common up and on tier when I was training. And the last place I saw someone use one really well was in on tier. In Kaid, I see it sometimes, but hopefully that helps. Also, this is the first video like this I've done, so if it's useful, please let me know and maybe I'll do more. If it wasn't, let me know, and I won't. Thanks.